So it's time for another mail video. This one is from a user by the name of Julian's Random Projects, I think, if I remember right. And he sent me a lot of awesome stuff. I'm very surprised that he sent me this stuff. Let's start with the biggest box first. We have a 410 watt power inverter that goes from 12 volts DC to 110 volts AC. And we have an Xbox 360 that has the red ring of death. The red ring of death, for those of you that might not know, basically whenever the GPU or the CPU gets broken off from the board due to being overheated, then the 4 LEDs light up, and that's why it's called a red ring of death. But I'm going to try to fix that sometime. Oh, look at this. It's a flexible solar panel. It's for a camping lantern. That's kind of cool. It says it makes about 8 volts. 8 volts is pretty good for that. Let's try this now. Ooh! PlayStation 1. Or actually PS1, whatever. It gets kind of confusing because I have several of the original PlayStations, and they're usually called the PlayStation 1s, or just PlayStations, but whenever they came out with this model, they had to start calling collectors have had to start calling the original PlayStation the PSX, because then they made the actual PS1, so it's kind of confusing. I've always wanted this model, but I just never really wanted to shell out like 30 bucks for one. Let's see if that works. Ooh, there's a lot of stuff in here. What? It's an iPad. Is that 2 iPads? Feels like 2 iPads. Yeah, it is. Well, thank you. That is awesome. It looks like it's a Generation 1 because it doesn't have a camera, so I can understand how maybe you wouldn't want it, but I'll find something about it interesting. I'll probably jailbreak this because, quite frankly, I can't stand Apple products. Okay, actually, I take that back. I do love the Apple II. The one was, well, actually the Apple IIe, released in like 1981 or so. But ever since Steve Wozniak left Apple, the place has been to shit. So I'll probably put Linux on that, or something like that. I'll jailbreak it. Fuses, those are always awesome. Random assorted controllers. Oh, and a flashlight. It's kind of a wide body on that. I wonder if that takes 18650 cells. I don't know. There's a plastic insert in here. Maybe if I take that out, an 18650 will... No, it looks a little too long for an 18650. Maybe 2 of them? I don't know. So for the flashlight, we'll be putting an 18650 in there. This one's 1800 milliamp hours, but actually it's probably more like 2200 milliamp hours because they didn't test it fully. Well, 2200 milliamp hours if I charge it to 4.2 volts, but only 1800 milliamp hours if I charge it to 4.05 volts. Now there's not enough room in there to have 2 cells, and it's too long to have 1 cell, so I'll just make up the difference with this. Some pennies. Copper-coated pennies should be pretty conductive. It's kind of dim, but oh well. Still pretty good. What else we have in here? A Wii controller, which is... Oh, it's rechargeable too. It has USB charging. Now that's awesome. I can always use more Wii controllers and Wii remotes and whatnot, because the thing is, it's very easy to find older game controllers like N64 and PlayStation 1, but the newer stuff, they're still kind of new, so even if you find them at a yard sale, people still want like $10 for one. I'll take an Xbox 360 controller to my dad's house because he has an Xbox that works. I mean, I hope to get that one working, but over there, usually whenever we play Halo, we're always fighting over the controllers because we don't have enough. But I better... Yes, this is kind of the same color as my stepbrother's controller, so I might put my name on there. Now that handwriting sucked very bad. So in the box we have a lot of other various stuff, like these things. They look like an Apple product to me. Very small remote. They don't say what they're to. Headset. I think this is to the... Is this to the Wii U? I don't know. Looks like this is for the iPads. This case is kind of cool. Oh. Oh, it has a battery inside of it. 1900 milliamp hours. Now that's cool. Now it comes down to the last box. Looks like it's a single item in this one. It's a media center. That's cool. Wow, that is small. That is really, really small. Let's plug it in and see how it does. Like duct tape. It looks really nice. Anyway, so with this Western Digital Live TV thingamajig, we have a little sensor in the front for the remote control. We have a USB connector. In the back we have another USB connector, an HDMI port, an Ethernet port, an optical port, and the 12-volt power input. I'll show you how this works. So first we need power. Now we have the power to it and it's turned on automatically. Let's hook up the video to the television. There we go. Oh, that's not good. It looks like the capacitors are starting to go bad in my old TV. Might have to redo that in a video sometime. I think this is supposed to be blue. That's a little better. So now you see what we have is we have a menu that so we can use the remote control, this one right here. We can go over to whatever we have on here. So now the first way I can get information to it is through a little USB drive. This USB drive has a couple of video files on it, so if I put it into the USB slot, we can now access it and watch whatever is on that USB stick. So now if we go over to videos, we can see that there's 5 items that we can watch.
Starting to seem like right-wing bullshit.
And you can actually skip through the videos too.
Side with the hippies. True love will draw millions of. I'm Pam. This is my partner. Tell. You might be.
I'm liking this quite a bit. You can fast forward too. So pretty much any option you'd have with a VCR or something like that, so that's pretty awesome. Now, I am curious about another feature though. That other feature will be YouTube streaming. So if I took my Ethernet cable from my computer and put it in the back, it starts to recognize it. It's now connected to the internet. Awesome! Oh, it looks like it has new firmware. Let's go ahead and let it update. Well, that was like 3 or 4 updates, and that didn't take very long at all. how you can get to YouTube with this. I guess I just figured it out. Over to YouTube. Why don't they just have a search feature? This is stupid. Then again, YouTube apps are always pretty stupid, so whatever. So yeah, this little Western digital media player thingy is pretty good. The only problem is the YouTube app sucks. But that's a problem with YouTube, not a problem with the player. Judging by the date stamp on the power cord, this Xbox was made in 2007, so it's one of the early ones. That probably also is why it burned out. And this is what the red ring of death looks like if you don't know what it is. It's basically just an error code. Because see, usually whenever the Xbox is working properly, this one turns on green, and then the other ones light up for every controller that you add to it. But whenever, like the graphics card, or the GPU or the CPU get disconnected from the board, then this error shows up. This solar panel, which is very flexible, I believe this is the type that was invented by Stanford R.F. Shinsky at Altronics, or whatever the corporation is that he made. And it's giving 11 or so volts, which is pretty awesome. That's more than the 8 volts it's rated for. Of course, if I pulled power from it, it would drop down a lot. But I could definitely find a use for that. Awesome! I like that quite a bit. So with this solar panel connected to my 6-volt battery, it's easily giving 120 milliamps of current. Sometimes spiking up to 200. Oh, see like right there? Now that is awesome. So yeah, thanks for all this awesome stuff. You know, it just occurred to me, I probably could, the iPad, even though it's kind of useless, if I put Linux on it, it'll be very useful. And it charges with 5 volts, that solar panel gives 8 volts. What if I put the solar panel on the back of it and got like a little USB step-down converter and modified one of the cables to take the 5 volts from it? Now that would be an awesome thing, solar-powered tablet. Thanks for all this awesome stuff, Julian. It's definitely blew my mind. I wasn't expecting this much stuff. I was just expecting like broken stuff, like a broken Xbox or whatever. But all this functional stuff, I don't know. I would assume that Julian works at like a retail store, and these are probably returns, like people brought them back or whatever, and so he got them. So I wouldn't feel too bad. But I hope you didn't waste all the money on this stuff. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video, and thanks for watching. See ya!